Okay, we're here April 1st, well, the first day of the quarter. Checking my lights here. I'm recording this video to illustrate my challenge with the way that we currently are doing estimates and job card, and also the patterns that keep reoccurring, that I keep finding myself bottlenecked in. So we're going to talk about two things today in this video. Mainly it's going to be the current way we're doing intakes of the estimate request, where this should be a complete package that can easily be read by any person who is putting the estimate together. And that's why we created the intake form for Chris or anybody in these that does a site visit or that does bidding. This would serve in for two use cases. One of them is going to be for bidding, where Nico could participate, our estimating department, and then also mainly for Chris, where he goes out to the job site, he identifies with the customer what it is the customer's needs are, takes down all their information, account name, contact name, phone number, account address, job site address, all this basic information that's required to make a quote, email address. Now, I'm going to get straight to the quoting because it's one of the primary things I want to focus on, because we have to get this down packed. It's not only me that's becoming a bottleneck here, but sometimes Chris becomes a bottleneck in the sense that he does a site visit, but he doesn't provide all the information at once to put this quote together. We're all learning right now how we're going to standardize this system. So here I go with what my job duty is for tonight. It is 6:12 p.m. on April 1st, and I find myself with all these job cards. Right? I have, oh sorry, not job cards, but intake forms. They're all coming different ways. See, this is a job card for Pepe, who is a subcontractor. RCF E. Gomez Construction. So very important that I should have the date, but see, this job card has the date of this date. The reason it has that date is because that's the date on the invoice. This is the date on the invoice that created this job card. This date must be updated when this job card is given to the subcontractor. It's very important to know more or less the time range, or to know the dates that we were on site. And what's going to help us with this is the installer intake questionnaire, which is the installer's feedback on a daily basis on what they saw on site, what day they finished, did they finish, or do they need anything for tomorrow. Very simple, 3 questions and a picture to installers, wherever at the end of the day they wrap it up with that. Here I have a job card, so what I do is I go to the invoice number, which is right here, which I will identify in my computer here now. I'm familiar with this job. I was actually in this job today, so this is one of those jobs that if I didn't go, it wouldn't get done, because nobody knows how to do this particular style of fencing. In this case, is a netting. We should have after pictures for this job. We don't have after pictures. So just like the lead intake form are not being done completely, job cards are also not being done thoroughly. This information here must be filled out completely. This now translates to Ivan's new job card form that's gonna live inside of ClickUp. The goal is for everything to live inside of ClickUp. So what I'm doing with this job now, this particular one, just to get it over and done with, because I was here today, it's fresh in my mind. I know exactly what happened in this job. Two things. First, I have to check with Maria if this job has any job costing. So I put Maria, oh, this means that she's gonna look at this. I need all, in this case I would need the labor cost, but I'm gonna request for all the cost. That way I could see the cost analysis. That this record is really important for me to see as the jobs are moving, to know how much cost are being applied to those jobs. So as we go, those jobs in ClickUp must be updated with all the purchases that have been done for that job, whether it be material, labor, equipment, anything special that would require for that job. All costs need to be recorded on a live dashboard. That'll avoid me having to do this written message to Maria, which is I need all cost for this project. Okay, so right now this is in English. Maria is fine with that because she'll ChatGPT it. She's more advanced at that, but there's also a language barrier with Maria. So this is a Pepe job. He wasn't the most, so the way we price these jobs, and that's the reason I hold back sometimes on these jobs, is because the proper way of doing it is to give him the job with the price. Say, hey, look, this job pays so much. You could do it in this day. If you do it, in how many days, right? Let's say we tell him $2,000. I give him the job card, but then things happen. It rains. He doesn't show up on time. The materials are not ready for him to start. It could be their fault. I don't like to use the word fault, but it could be their fault or it could be our fault. 80% of the time is their fault. Meaning, if I put $2,000 here, I'm like, hey, look, I'm gonna pay you well, I'm gonna pay you $2,000, but then he doesn't, and you have it done by Friday, and he doesn't get it done by Friday, we should not be paying him the full $2,000, right? Now, these are mini contracts, right? This is an agreement that the installer and E. Gomez Construction has. Basically, it's giving him the description of what his job is going to be at that project, where the job is going to be, where he's going to pick up the material, and what he's going to be doing. So in this case, he was putting these 4 posts. It took him 4 days, 1 day to install the post. To do the holes. Holes with auger. So in the beginning, he was going to do this job without the auger. When he gets on site, he's like, "Oh, my back hurts too much, whatever," and we got to get an auger. So we go out, we get him an auger. They resolve. They're fast. They move, right? So day 1 was holes. Day 2, and then after that was inspection, but that's not inspection. Ivan and Chris handled. Then day 2, Pepe went and he filled the holes with concrete. So pour concrete. Pour concrete. Install sleeves. In this part, when he took the dirt out, I told him go to my house and do the and take the dirt that you took out and take it to my house because I'm short on dirt in my house. So Pepe took the dirt to my house and put it in. I told him, hey, I'm gonna give you $200 if you take it to my house and if you spread the dirt around. So I gave him $200. So the $200 should be here. So I'm gonna make a note for Maria. Did we pay them $200? Because I would apply this cost to this job on this project. So that's a reminder. So this is dirt. This is a reminder for me to tell Maria. So there's a lot going on a piece of paper, which is the reason why we're implementing the new way. Install sleeves. Okay, so that was day 2, and now day 3. Was today, installation of the net. Install the net. So he got there at 8:30. I got there at 9. I helped him figure out what the 100 pieces were for, what they had to do, what the cable had to do. This is something a seasoned project manager would handle with ease, especially with picking my brain at my office where we drop gems. I'm gonna start using the word gems because gems, I'm gonna start recording myself when I'm talking to anything technical about my trade to any one of my employees. So if I'm talking to Ivan about how I want him to do something, I'm gonna be mic'd up, I'm gonna drop the gem, and I'm gonna record all that because that's where the value is. So we need to put together a way to find this value. So very good. So we continue with that. So as far as I see that he worked 3 days. Yeah, he installed a 20-foot high net, but he was fully instructed and fully catered by us. So it's not like he had to go out and design this and come up with ideas on how he's gonna put this net. We pretty much shoot it all up for him so he could just swallow. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't do a nice job, and he did his part, right? He did, throughout this whole project, he probably set us back like 3-4 days. Like, okay, he'll tell us, we'll be there tomorrow, and he wouldn't show up, right? So this is becoming a problem. Look at myself here at 6 p.m. and of course this is not the first time at 6 p.m. doing a job card that now I'm doing a lot of work on it, so my team has more work to do. So the process is not working, and it's because of the volume. So if we had maybe 3 of these, okay, it's different, but we want to scale. So in order to scale, this has to change. So this is a job card, and I kind of went away from the lead intake form and the quotes I have to put together now, and I concentrated a little more on the job cards. So I'm going to focus on the job card now here, because I also have. So for this job, so just to finish Pepe's job and get this one out. Let me see, because my calculator's not here. I always have my physical calculator. I can never do these jobs without it. So I have my calculator. So this is how I would calculate this job. Okay, Pepe went there. What we thought it was 3 days. We didn't come up with a price for him, right? So if we would have set a price, he would have been stuck with the price. But if we would have delayed him, and it was something our fault, and he had to go to the job a few times because it was our fault, then I would up the price, right? I would up the price. But if he doesn't show up to the job and he tells us he's going to be there, and we look bad in front of the customer, I am going to drop the price. Right? So the way I'm going to calculate this job, because I know what happened on this job, which is basically that there was back and forth on the schedule and when we were going to do it, and I'm grateful we finished it today, because by me doing this, this is basically speed. Speed means he sends us back today a field request and he says, I'm finished with the job. We have the job card there, and now Maria could bill, right? Now, instead of Maria doing that and billing already when he submitted this earlier this morning, now we're 6 p.m. I'm preparing this for Maria, and then tomorrow Maria is busy with other things, so one day passes. Okay, we don't bill for the completion of the job. By the way, we need to request inspection for this job. That's an Ivan thing, but that has nothing to do with billing. So we get the billing process going. We're complete with the job. This should be smooth into the billing, right? Because if not, we're just going to be expanding the billing, which is where we find ourselves today, where we finish the job in December, it's the beginning of April, we still haven't gotten paid in multiple jobs, right? So this needs to change. Now, how I'm going to calculate this job is by the following. Let me see. Okay, so now the way I'm going to calculate this project is by, I know that he went there 3 days. He went there with a couple guys, so I'm going to calculate his days at $500 plus the 200 that he about the dirt, right? So that I got to find out if I give him that. So I'm going to do $500 a day. Today he was there from 8:30 to 1 p.m. I was there with him from 9 a.m. to noon. If he would have been able to manage his whole entire job himself, I would have, loved to pay him a little more, but he did it. He doesn't have that experience. So I went out there. So I think that we should drop his price a little bit, but I still think that it's fair. $500 a day. He went there 3 days. He had to do some really big holes, and that the first 2 days were harder than the third day. So I'm just gonna average all 3 days at $1,500. This we billed for this job, so that is plus $1,500 plus the $200 for the grass plus the auger cost, which I think was $300 for the auger. So I'm gonna put a note here for $300 auger and a question mark, because I gotta make sure Maria has the cost of the auger in the cost for the project, so we manage the cost properly. So what I'm gonna do right here is just see how after I do all this, it just gets messy, me working on this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put $1,500. Now, I may have missed something here in the days because I didn't track this job completely. So he may have gone 4 days. I'm not sure. But if I tell him this tomorrow, he's like, hey, look, that's too little, whatever, because it's always too little, right? So that's the advantage of giving him the job card in the beginning. Like, hey, look, you want to install this job? Here is your price with the price, and say, you want to take it or not? Right? If he takes it, then he has to complete that job for that price, unless we screw up something, and then we give him a little more money. But then if he screws something, we should be able to take from him. Like, for example, if he breaks a pipe and we gotta repair it, or he breaks one of our tools, he must be paying for that. So we need to start documenting tools. Job card and tool rentals go together. Something I haven't mentioned that I want to make an emphasis on right now is the tools rental. We need to do a tool inventory of the tools that we lend the installers, because what happens is they use all our tools, they don't buy any of their tools, and they don't treat them like they would treat theirs. And when they get damaged, they just get put back in the inventory, and then the next person that grabs it, oh shoot, this tool is broken. We need to have a regulated tool inventory with a rental service. So what I need Ivan to do, and I talked to Ivan about this, is make a list of all our tool inventory. Use Mario to do it, even though Mario would use his language, which we would find out in the next ones, that Mario speaks a different fence language, which I understand, and we're trying to change the dynamics here to the real fence English language, right? Which also has its slang, right, per se. And you're always gonna have to have that Spanish slang fence language, because your installers, that's the language they speak, right? I'm yet to have, if I worked with the only English speaking installer, in my 20-year experience, I've only worked with maybe two only English speaking installers, and it doesn't last too long. So fencing is a niche which fence installers are fence installers, right? Right now we have far from fence installers. Pepe was probably one of our top installers, and I wouldn't even consider him a top installer. I would say he is top 6. We should put them in a grading scale and see, and that's gonna have to do with their pay. So I would say Nesty and Alex are at a 3 to 4 range, right? If that, and that's because, and I say that they've been trained by me personally. I'm the one that taught them, but they don't pick up things fast. They think that I'm telling them just to punish them. I'm like, no, I'm coaching you so you could do it right. I know what these people expect. Sometimes what the customer expects may seem like nonsense to the installer, right? But it's very crucial. For example, cleaning up the dirt after the job is done. They might do a perfect fence, but if they have the dirt, all piled up and there's mild dirt, and they're like, hey, that's dirt. The installer would tell you, hey, that's dirt. The grass will grow right there. That's not the angle that they need to see it from. It's like, what I always like to say is, you gotta, when you get there, you observe the job site. You leave the job site better than how you see it. So if you see trash on the side and it's on the fence line, you pick up that trash, right? If you see the fence is missing a cap, you go and install that cap. If you see that there's a big job, you go and you tell your rep here at E. Gomez Construction, you tell them, hey, they might want to fix this. Here's a picture. So an incentive, another implementation that we want to do is an incentive for the installers that we get the job cards that go to the job sites is the following. We provide them with a basic intake form, and we have them find us the work because they have all the eyes. So for subcontractors like this one, sometimes we give them work, right? And this happens frequently, and sometimes it becomes a argument with the subcontractors. Sometimes it becomes that we just part ways and we never talk to each other. But they could go to this job, and then the owner says, hey, I have another job. Do you want to do it for me and not go to the company? And then they say yes, right? To avoid that, what we want to implement is they'll be incentivized by any extra job that they create on the job. So if the installer's on site and the owner comes up to them and says, hey, can you give me a price for this too? The installer doesn't need to say, call the office. The installer says, hey, what I could do is I could take this information back to my office, and my office would get back to you with the price, and have a small intake, a mini intake information on what it is. So it would be a intake on for estimating, to create either a change order, what's known as a change order, or just a whole new quote, or because it could be the neighbor as well. It could be the neighbor, it could be the another person that works on the property that might need it. But we need to incentivize the installers that are on site to find us work when they're there. An example is right now when This week, Nesty and Alex go do a fence. They're finishing the fence. It's actually a fence for the town of Davie that I have to see with Maria the job cost, because I think that one was way too low. What we have to do is give them a small intake for every job that they find the lead for us, that they bring it back through that system, and they bring it back, and we give them a price, and we get the job. They get a kickback from that, right? So this is a great business model for getting more work, for sales. This is like the word of mouth. This is the word of mouth tracking. So that concludes my. So I did a 25-minute video right now on a job card, which is insane. But it was something needed that we needed to do. And I have all of these still to go. David Delgado, give me 1 second. David Delgado. Good, brother, good. How are you? You sound a little down. You good? Fist pumping, fist pumping. Bro, today I feel tired. Like, yeah, today I went to the job sites. So right now what I'm doing, I'm about to conclude this one. I'm in the middle of a 26-minute video with my camera, my Sony, the one that goes in my place here. I'm upstairs. Aiming down to my keyboard, going on my job, going over what I'm doing now, because I got dropped a huge bomb, right? And the reason this is a bomb is because it comes back to me being the bottleneck, right? So this all pretty much lands on me, but this video that I'm in right now, I'm gonna conclude this video because I'm talking to David, so I'm gonna press